Are we sure? You're welcome. Alright, so how many of you are going to pass the exam the first time? Yay! Turn to a neighbor, give him a high five, say congratulations for passing. Congratulations for passing, of course. So let's talk about the exam real quickly, right? Just kind of an overview, what to expect. Now, some of you have already taken the fire test. Who's already taken the fire exam? Okay, so 3 of you. So how many questions are on the exam? 150 questions. How many can you miss? 45 questions. 45 questions is a lot of questions to miss. How many do you have to get correct to pass? 105. 105 correct to pass the first time, right? That's a 70% or better. Remember, this exam is on a pass or score. Exactly. What do you want? Pass. When? The first time. So you want to make sure you pass the first time. So if there's something that you're not sure about, are you going to get stuck on it? No. You can skip it and go back. So how many can you miss again? 45. So 45 it's a lot of questions to miss. So there's a lot of room for error. If you don't know something, then you can actually just count it towards those 45. Okay? So there's a test-taking technique that we go over, and that's no parking allowed. What's the technique?
No parking allowed.
Why? Why no parking?
You lose time.
You lose time.
The longer you look, the more anxious you get, and then you start to freak out.
Exactly. So no parking allowed. Brittany, you sound like you're familiar with the process. Yeah, because the more you focus on it, the anxiety builds even more, right? So all you want to do is, if you approach a question and you're not sure about it and you don't know it, when you sign into the test, right, you're going to show your picture ID. Make sure you bring picture ID on the day of the exam. Valid picture ID. If you don't have a valid picture ID, what is she going to do? She won't let you take the test. Okay? That's exactly it. You'll have to reschedule, and it'll be counted as a score, and the score will be a 0, and then you'll have to wait 5 days before you can take the test. So you want to make sure you take a valid picture ID. When you check in, she's going to assign you a station, a computer. The exam is on computer, right? So, and at your station, there's a small sheet of paper and a pencil, right? So with your pencil, this is a pencil, you're going to write the number on that piece of paper. So whatever you're unsure about, whatever you're not clear about, you're just going to write the number down. And now remember, on your exam, you also have 2 features on the bottom of the screen. If you look in the packet, let's see, the packet I handed out. The exam prep. Yeah, there's 2. If you go to the back of page 2, on the bottom, it shows you what the screen looks like. It reads skip question and flag question. So you can either skip or flag. Right? We advise you to not use the flag function. Put a big X to it. So no flagging the question. Okay? Now, I know some of you have already taken the cram course with someone else. Some trainers say just skip it and go on to the next one. I actually say don't use either one of them. And the reason why is because it gives you 2 less things to think about. You don't want to be worried, did I skip it, should I flag it, or what should I do with it? So I just say, you know what, don't even think about it. Write the question number down, answer it with your first instinct, and then go back to it at the end if you have to. Because what happens is at the end of the test, if you go to the next sheet, this is what it looks like if you choose to go back. So even if you answer the question, you can still go back to it at the end of the exam if you want to. See, what happens is that sometimes you know the answer before you consciously know the answer. And what happens is if you have that intuition and you're like, oh, it's this one, and you write it down and you mark it, then later you can decide whether or not you want to go back to it by counting how many you have left. So if you remember the email that I said, the guy he had 15 that he parked on? Those were 15 questions he wasn't sure about. So if at the end of the exam you count all of them and you have less than 45, less than how many? 45. If you have less than 45, do you have to go back and change them or look at them or even... Well, why bother? Because how many can you miss? 45. You can miss 45. Okay, so 45 it's a third of the exam, really. Okay, it's a lot of questions to miss. So again, Don't do anything different than what you normally do, but if you don't have anything that you normally do, just don't use the two features. Answer the question, write the number down, and then just move on to the next one. Because remember, you don't want to think too much about it, especially for recovering analyticals. Where are my recovering analyticals? Right, yes, because you will think yourself right out of the right answer. Okay? And you want to, I say no thinking, and you hear me say that a lot in the class. And I don't say to not think. I just say that so you're a little bit more mindful to not overthink the answers. Okay? You just want to be present to that. So no parking. Now, if you go to the packet, if you go to the back page of the first page, the back of the first page, here's some test taking techniques that I've written down. Okay. I just want to go over real quickly that repetition is the master of all learning. The more you review, the more you retain. You have to remember that everything that we covered in class you could possibly see on the exam. It's just a matter of doing what when you take your test. It's just a matter of remembering, right? And the only way to remember it is by having more retention by reviewing the material more than once, 2, 3, 4 times. So, the first test taking technique is be prepared. So go into the exam with a positive attitude, no worries or concerns. Now, people say, think positive. Well, thinking positive is actually more than just thinking positive. It's actually going in with, knowing and the beingness that you're going to pass the test. If you set out that you're going to pass the test the first time, when are you going to pass the test? The first time. Then you're going to start doing whatever you need to do in order to pass the exam. When? The first time. Okay? So go in with, I'm going to pass. I know I'm going to pass. And do whatever you need to do in order to pass the first time. And part of that is being here tonight. So let's give yourself some snaps for showing up. Yay! Woo-hoo. Everyone made it safe and sound. The next one is to breathe. Okay, I know, my mother says common sense isn't common. People say, well, I breathe automatically. But there's a way of breathing. Very often especially when people take a test, what happens to their breathing? It speeds up, it accelerates, what else?
Some people it stops.
Some people, they pause. Yeah, they actually have pauses in their breath, believe it or not. So they're anxious. Anxiety starts to build up in the body. And what affects the anxiety or how your body reacts to it is your breathing. Okay? So let's practice a breath. So everybody take a breath in. And then take a long breath out. So take a longer breath out. So take a breath in. Then take a longer breath out. Now, on the inhale, your body gets excited. And so when people are anxious, they breathe really quickly and they breathe in a lot. When you exhale, it relaxes the body. So what you really want to do is when you sit down in your seat or in your chair is take 3 breaths, 3 mindful breaths. Sit in your seat, feel the chair underneath you, and breathe in, and then take a long breath out to just settle yourself into the test. Okay? I find, some people say do 5 breaths, 10 breaths. I find 3 is perfect for me because I don't have the attention span to do 5 or 10. But 3 always works. If you feel that anxiety, let's say you go to a question and I don't remember talking about this, I don't remember seeing this or studying this, go back to the 3 breaths. Remember to breathe. What are you going to remember to do? Breathe. You're going to remember to breathe. It's really important. I'd have you practice again, but I don't want you falling asleep. So tonight, when you want to go to bed, practice that breath. And you'll find that as you exhale, you just relax into your bed, and you'll find that you'll fall asleep a lot faster too. Okay? All right, the next one is build confidence. And like I said before, no parking. Okay? As you go through the questions, if it looks scary, long, confusing, wordy, you're going to answer it, write it down, write the number down, not the question, just the number, and then go on to the next question. Okay? If it's a toss-up between 2 answers, a test-taking technique is this. If you're not sure what the answer is, if there's 2 statements that are really close to each other, you can deduce that it's going to be one of those 2. And you can take the other 2 out. So now you basically have a 50-50 chance, right, if you have to make an educated guess. So if it's a toss-up between 2 answers, again, answer it, write it down, and then move on to the next one. Okay? Any build-up tension or anxiety from any question, once again, answer it, write it down, and what are you going to do? Go on to the next one. Now the next one, D on the test-taking techniques, words mean what they say. This is a big one. Very often the answer is already in the question. You don't have to think too much about it. But if you start overthinking it, then that's when words no longer mean what they say, because you're attaching more meaning to it. So just take the words for face value and don't add any fluff to it. Okay? Just keep it simple. Remember, words mean what they say, and the answer a lot of times is already in the question. Okay? You just have to find the connection to the answer. That's it. Long questions. I think I went over this with some of you in class. If you see a long, wordy question, how are you gonna handle that one?
Read the answers. Read the last statement in the question.
Right.
Last sentence.
Read the last sentence in the question first, because that's usually the question, and then read all the answers. Then, if you have to, then read the question if you need to gather more information. But otherwise, the last statement in the question is usually the question. All that other stuff is extra stuff. Okay. Now the next one is look for the right answer, focus on key points. As soon as you see the right answer and you read the answer in its entirety, then give it that answer and move on to the next one. What happens is sometimes you read it and like, oh yeah, that's the right answer, and then you look at the other ones and you're like, oh, but that one could be the answer too, especially for the analyticals, right? So as soon as you see the answer, mark it and then move on to the next one. This is a big one. Always stick with your first response. What's the second part there, Reed?
Trust your intuition.
Trust your intuition. Okay? If this resonates with you, repeat after me. I trust my intuition.
Trust my intuition.
Okay, this one's going to need to be said with a little bit more energy, okay? Because you really, as soon as you see an answer and you have that instinct like, oh, that's the answer, then you want to go for it. Okay, so repeat after me. I trust my intuition.
I trust my intuition.
It's a little bit better. All right. But remember, you trust your intuition on the day of the test, okay? Accept questions. Remember, accept questions are Sesame Street questions. One of these doesn't belong. Which of these doesn't? Or something. I don't know how that song goes. Kevin, you knew it, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
How did it go again?
Which of these things is not like the other? Which of these things doesn't belong?
Doesn't belong.
Right.
Something like that. Okay. So you're just looking for the odd one out, right? Either they're all true and one's false, or they're all false and then one of them's true. You just want to take the one that doesn't fit. Number 8 is always make an educated guess if you have to, right? Use the process of elimination. Always, only, never are normally incorrect answers, but not always. So if you had to make an educated guess and you see always, only, never, you could discount them, but that's not always true. But you can use that one. Eliminate distractors. Distractors are basically like, very often they're words that you've never seen before. They're completely unfamiliar, and you're like, oh my goodness, like Debbie and Irma didn't cover this. Like, what is this? Like, that's got to be most people think like that's got to be the answer, but it's not the answer. It's called a distractor, and it's doing exactly its job. It's distracting you from what the correct answer really is. So if there's anything that looks unfamiliar, usually that's a wrong statement. Okay? And then when all else doesn't work, and you have like no clue what the answer could possibly be, you follow the clock rule. You guys know the clock rule? You ever heard of the clock rule? So if you look at the clock, what hand's always moving? The second hand, right? So the second hand is between 9 and 12. That would be D. One is between 12 and 3. It's A, B, C, and D. That's a joke, you guys. Come on. Laughing's good for the spirit, right? So if anything, if you like get really stuck, you'll just look at the clock, have a little giggle, and then just move on to the next one. Because laughing will help relieve the tension. All right, you guys don't like that one, okay?
I like it.
I like it. Some people say go for C, but you know what? A lot of test writers are kind of changing that because people do go for C, right? Another test-taking technique is the longest answer is the right answer. Like again, if all else, like if you're not sure about anything, you know, you just want to answer and move on to the next one. Because as you move along the exam and things look more familiar, you start to relax a little bit more. But if you just like focus, like what we said earlier, if you just focus on that one question, you end up getting stuck there, then you're building up all the anxiety. And sometimes it's like people get stuck and they can't get past it. So I go over these different tools so that you can get past that and you don't get stuck and park on one question. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. So on the day of the exam, now everybody knows where they're going, right? Who's going to Sacramento? Oh, okay, you know you're going to 320 Capitol Mall, right? It's on the first floor in front of the building. Okay, parking's really easy too. Yeah, you've been there before? No. Oh, okay, yeah, parking's really easy. It's in the building in the back. Okay. Now for San Francisco, everyone is going to San Francisco, right? Okay, awesome. So it's 45 Fremont Street. It's in between Mission and Market, right? And it's on the 22nd floor. They're going to check you in, so you want to get there early. Remember that the AM exam, the morning exam, starts at 8:30. The PM exam starts at 1 o'clock. Now,
So they'll make you wait in the back. Because if you get there early, you know, they make you wait down. Because it's on the 22nd floor.
Right.
So they make you wait in the back. So
Because it's heavy security.
Yeah, well, because I think it's a state building, right? Yeah. So,
Back of the building?
Well, it's actually,
It's like
you can get to it on either side.
Before you were to go.
But
Yeah.
you have to go through this.
they'll tell you where to go. Yeah, we'll have you right there.
You'll look lost. You'll be, most time you'll be holding your papers like desk,
Yeah.
back.
They'll know where to send you. Now remember that they want to start the exam at 8:30 and at 1 o'clock. And on your confirmations, it says to arrive 20 minutes early. So you want to get there early. So 8:30 means to arrive at what time?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Oh,
Or 8:10.
I know, but
I know. It's just a good idea to be there earlier, right? If you plan for 8 and you get there at 8:10, it's all good. Right? 1 o'clock, get there around 12:30, 12:20. Oh, yeah, 12:40.
It's super easy to take part there. You
Yes.
can study on the way. It's almost better because it's way cheaper.
We highly recommend. Pardon me? Yeah, if you're in the city, you know public transportation works there, but I highly recommend it. Spark's easy. You take the Embarcadero exit, you walk up the stairs and you walk away from the ferry building, right towards downtown, and you'll go left and it's right there in the 45 Fremont Street. Very easy to find. Now parking, it's kind of pricey, right?
It's cheaper to take part.
Yeah, but if you do look, I know of a parking lot that I usually go to. If you're coming down Fremont Street and then you turn left on Mission, there's a parking lot on the right-hand side. And it's about, I haven't been there in a while, but it's like $12 to $15 or something like that. So it is kind of pricey to park there. But, it's up to you, whatever works for your comfort level.
Well, I like park because you can read over your stuff.
And it helps you relax. Yeah, I know, I'm the same way too.
don't miss your exit.
Yeah. If you miss your exit, you're open.
Yeah.
Depending on what direction you're coming from.
Oh, yeah, too.
So, all right. Any questions about the text-taking techniques or anything like that? Now, in your packet, there's a lot of information about different things that you should know. What I'm going to do on our break is I'm going to photocopy the emails that were sent to me, and I'm probably going to photocopy the one email that has the most information on it because they're kind of repetitious. And that would be more of a words to know list that you might want to look at rather than the list that's in the packet because that's a little bit outdated at this point. The exam has changed a lot. Our students are still passing. We still have about, I think collectively for our life classes, we have about an 88 to 90% first time passing. So our students are still passing the exam as long as you do what we tell you to do. Okay? That means study the workbook. Okay? And relax, and repetition is the mother of all learning, so go over the workbook a number of times. Now what I like to do is, because they updated the final exam number, or practice exam number 6, I want to go over this, and as I don't have it on slides. I do have number 4 on slides. So what we'll do is we'll go over the packet, which has 115 questions, and as we cover it, I'm going to go over the keywords in the question, and then the keyword in the answer, to help you associate it, okay? Because you got a little bit of that with me when I was in class. I don't know, does Debbie use keywords as well? Yeah, okay, cool. So,
is that the same?
That's your number 6 in your workbook.
Oh, okay. But you have something more?
Yeah. Yeah, and I just gave them a photocopy of this. Okay, so everybody will be on the same page. So we'll go over number 6. We're going to go over it, we'll go over this one, okay, and then you can cover it again. How many of you have already highlighted number 6 and marked it?
No.
You haven't highlighted number 6?
I didn't like doing that.
You don't like doing that?
I like trying to answer the question first sometimes,
Do you mind since I've already gone over this, do you mind if I just sit back there and go over 4?
We're going to go over 4 tonight.
Oh, okay.
We will go over number 4.
Because I already did 6, so that sounds like...
No, repetition is the mother of all learning, and if you're going to get questions, they're going to mostly come out from this one.
Oh, from the 6?
Absolutely.
I actually went over 6 like 4 times.
Yeah. You know what? It's not going to hurt you to go over it again. Okay? And I'm going to, again, I'll focus on the key words so you know the word association to go towards. I'm going to read the question, and actually I'm going to read the right answer and the question, and then focus on the key words. Okay? So it's not about taking notes. It's not about, understanding this stuff at this point. It's just about taking the information in. Now, I have a tendency to speak really fast. And if you just allow yourself to just listen and take the information in, you will actually get the information and you don't have to be conscious to the information. Does that make sense? Okay? You just have to be open to listening and you hear the information. And as I go through it, it'll start to come together. All right? Now, I don't know. You don't have them highlighted in your workbook? Some of them. Okay, cool. Then we'll use your workbook, and then you can test yourself later if you want to with that. Okay? Now, as you know, our study technique works like this. Is that we have you read the question and highlight the right answer, and read the question with the right answer. Why do we have you do that?
You don't confuse the wrong answers in your head.
Right, so you don't actually have the wrong answers in your head. You know, I don't know if you remember this, on the first day I usually tell a story about how do FBI agents, or how do agents who identify counterfeit money, how do they get trained to identify counterfeit money?
They used to be a counterfeit.
Okay, well, what did you say, Kevin?
They study counterfeit money.
No, actually.
No.
They
look at real money.
They only study the right money. That's all they study. They study the right money. They know the details of the right money. They know, like the etching of the curve of the border around different parts of the dollar bill, and they only study the right money by focusing on the right money. When counterfeit money shows up, sometimes they don't even know why it's counterfeit. They just know it's counterfeit. They have this feeling that they know it's counterfeit because they've studied the right money for so long. And that's why we advise you to study the question with the right answer. Because now, when you see the right answer comes out at you. But if you study everything, then the right answer doesn't pop out at you. Does that make sense? So that's why we have you read the question and then highlight the right answer, so that you only focus on the right answer. But if you start reading everything, it's like you're taking everything in, and then you want to decipher what the right answer is. It's almost counterintuitive, but you don't really know it because you've been conditioned for so long to test yourself, right? See if you really know it by testing yourself. That's a very old way of learning that doesn't work anymore with the way information is available to you. People have to learn faster and learn more in a shorter period of time than they ever have in history. And this is a technique that you can use for every exam that you have to prepare for, because it works. So, again, you read the question, look up the right answer, and then just highlight the right answer, and then read the question with the right answer and understand why the answer is the right answer.